Imagine walking into work one morning and finding out the company has just promoted the single most unqualified, obnoxious suck-up you've ever met, and now he's your leader. And not only that, this guy decides he can control your free time too. Well, he tried. What he didn't expect was that I knew the law better than he knew how to spell leadership. And with one email, one perfectly worded message, I turned his entire social power grab into the most humiliating downfall he'd ever experienced. If you've ever worked under someone who didn't deserve a fraction of their authority, hit that like button. If you ever fantasize about serving justice to a workplace tyrant, subscribe. Because this is one of the most satisfying takedowns you'll hear today. Let me take you back to the office where all of this went down. A big open floor setup, rows of cubicles, fluorescent lights humming like they were actively draining the will to live out of us. We had a team of about 30 people. Good people. Honest workers. People who actually knew what they were doing. And then there was Ethan. Ethan was the kind of guy who always seemed to materialize whenever a manager walked by, like he had some sixth sense for authority figures. You'd be talking about lunch plans or weekend projects, and suddenly he'd appear, eyebrows raised, smiling like he'd been rehearsing in the bathroom mirror. He wasn't good at his job. He wasn't experienced. He wasn't even liked. But what he lacked in competence, he made up for in shameless flattery. He'd laugh too loud at terrible jokes. He'd compliment people on things that didn't even exist. Wow. Sir, your time management skills are inspirational. Time management? The guy regularly lost his keys inside his own office. So one day, management decides they need a new team lead, one of 3 beneath our department manager. People are excited. There were at least half a dozen well-qualified employees with spotless records, years of experience, and the respect of the team. HR rules were clear. To even apply for the position, you needed at least 1 year at the company and demonstrated leadership experience. Ethan had neither. He'd been with the company for maybe 8 months. His leadership skills? Well, unless leadership now involved carrying coffee for your supervisors, he didn't qualify. But then, against all common sense, against HR's own guidelines, and against the collective groan of the entire team, they promoted Ethan. Just like that. No explanation. No justification. Just a shiny new title handed to the office brown noser, like he'd won a raffle prize he didn't even enter. And I swear to you, when the announcement email came out, you could feel the entire room's energy collapse. People actually looked physically ill. Even the manager announcing it had this tight, awkward smile like he knew he was forcing down rotten food. At first, people tried to be polite about it. But the dislike, the resentment, it was instant and universal, except a handful of sycophants who orbited Ethan like he was their personal son. In retrospect, it was almost funny watching grown adults degrade themselves for scraps of imaginary power. But at the time, it was infuriating. And apparently, middle management noticed how much everyone disliked him, instead of correcting the mistake. Though, they gave Ethan a task. Make the team like you. Yeah, good luck. So what does Ethan do? Does he try to improve communication? Learn actual leadership skills? Show respect? Listen to feedback? Of course not. He decides to start holding not required, but actually required monthly happy hours at a bar near the office. His words, not mine. You don't have to come, but you should think of it as required. He said it with his smug little smirk, like he discovered a loophole in human rights. And here's where the real problem came in. Most of my coworkers were hourly. Many had families. Some lived an hour away from the office. They weren't just rearranging dinner plans. They were scrambling to book babysitters, negotiating with spouses, and praying they wouldn't lose their jobs for missing a beer with a guy nobody even liked. You could see the anxiety in people's faces. People who normally joked around were suddenly whispering in the hallways, trying to figure out how to make this stupid event work. As for me, I didn't play that game. I knew my rights. If I'm not clocked in, I don't owe the company a minute of my time. So I declined, politely, professionally, directly. Ethan did not take it well. He came by my desk multiple times that week, hovering behind me like a fruit fly that refuses to die. Hey, you're coming, right? We really need all hands to show support. Management will be watching. It's important for team morale. I'd turn in my chair, smile calmly, and say, unless I'm being paid for my time, I'm spending my free hours how I want. Every time, his forced smile twitched a little more. By the day of the event, he actually came to my cube 3 times trying to pressure me. By the 3rd attempt, his voice had this brittle edge to it, like he was moments away from snapping a pencil in frustration. But I stuck to my line. If I'm not on the clock, I'm not required to be there. He walked away in a huff, shoulders stiff, jaw clenched. That night, everyone went except me, and the next morning, you would have thought they'd spent the evening at a funeral. People shuffled in, exhausted, forcing smiles whenever Ethan walked by, then ducking away the second his back was turned. At 10 a.m., we had our daily stand-up. Ethan, desperate to assert dominance, clapped his hands together and said, "Great turnout last night. Really proud of everyone for showing team spirit." Then, and I'll never forget this, he turned, pointed right at me in front of the entire team, and said, "Some people, however, are still struggling with being team players. Management notices when people don't participate, don't skip required events." My stomach clenched, not from fear, from sheer disbelief. He was threatening my job because I didn't want to get drunk with him. The room went silent. 30 people stared at the floor, pretending they weren't witnessing an abuse of power. He moved on with the meeting like nothing had happened. But that moment, that was a spark. My anger didn't come on loud or hot. It came on cold, sharp, focused, and absolutely certain. If he wanted to weaponize his power, fine. I'd weaponize the one thing he couldn't compete with, the law. 20 minutes after the meeting, I typed up a friendly little email. No attitude, no aggression, just pure, harmless information. I sent it to the entire 30-person team. Subject line, FYI, after-work event question. I wrote, "Hey all, someone asked me earlier about required after-work events for hourly employees, so I figured I'd share the info with everyone. State statute XXXX says hourly employees can't be required to attend unpaid events outside work hours. So if you can't find a sitter or can't make it, no worries at all." Short, simple, completely factual, and absolutely devastating. Within minutes, replies started coming in. "Wow, I had no idea. Thank you. This is incredibly helpful. I've been stressing about this. Thank you so much." The room felt different. Where there had been fear, there was now relief. And then I looked over at Ethan. He was sitting in his cube, staring at a screen like it had personally betrayed him. His face was priceless. Jaw tight, neck flush red, eyes darting around like he was trying to find someone to blame. But legally, he couldn't do a damn thing. And the next happy hour, he sat alone at the bar. Just him, 1 beer, no team, no validation, no power. Same for the month after that. Every single person skipped. He didn't recover from that humiliation. He had to drop the happy hour scheme entirely and spent the next few months floundering, trying and failing to connect with the team. Turns out, forced friendship isn't a thing. The delicious part wasn't that he sat alone. It was that he knew exactly why. He wanted control over our free time. He wanted to rule through fear and pressure. But I gave the entire team their freedom back with a single email. He lost his leverage. He lost his authority. And in the eyes of everyone around him, he lost whatever tiny shred of respect he had left. Every time he tried to rally the team after that, people politely nodded, then ignored him. He became a leader with no followers, a puppet with no strings, a title with no meaning. And he knew it. Sometimes revenge isn't loud. It isn't explosive. Sometimes it's a quiet reminder that knowledge, especially your own rights, is the most powerful weapon you can carry. Bullies thrive when people don't know the rules. But the second you shine a light on the truth, they crumble. If the story gave you that sweet hit of justice, smash that like button. Tell me in the comments, what's the pettiest or most satisfying revenge you've ever seen at work? And of course, subscribe for more stories just like this. Real life revenge served piping hot.